All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Trying to get out to the air a little bit. Did get a little warmer. So there's a possible money laundering scam that you might not be looking at, based upon being harassed in a church by what appears to be professional organized crime, racketeering, and extortion criminals. I would say that any church that has the ability to provide payment for a position could be providing that payment based upon being, just for lack of a better term, paid off with a large donation. So if they're dealing narcotics, if they're sex trafficking, they go to the church, and if it's a deep state church, they just take money. Deep state scam where they're saving the world has been bullshit since day one. So you need to look into that. The LDS is a perfect structure for that type of corruption. They've already proven that they're deep state corrupt, and they have a large Central and South American population within their church. And they have the means to transport narcotics transnationally, airplanes, boats, very wealthy people, very corrupt people. Well, the FBI should look at it. Right. Agree. Well, they don't like cops, that's for sure. And of course, there are some cops that don't like cops also. Thanks, Larry. Now, don't limit it to LDS, but they've shown that they're, quite possibly part of it, of something like it. Could be sex trafficking, could be narcotics distribution. The cartels are smart. They look stupid, but the bit ones that stay in power, they got people in the United States that are like professional spies, and they're working themselves into every organization that you can imagine. I agree, Larry. I agree, Larry. We agree, sir. And again, when the economy tanks, people take money a lot easier. Doesn't make it any more legal. It doesn't make it any more legal if you're a member of a church, saying that you're protecting your church. There is no evidence that your church needed any protection from it. Never has been any such evidence. The thing in Indianapolis was a setup, just like you tried to set me up in LDS world there. So what's the reality? The reality is, because you tried to set me up in LDS, all the people that came before you, they said, no, people don't set people up in churches and do this kind of thing to them in churches. It's not happening. It's just paranoid, are now false. The last 15 years of fabrications at the highest level of law enforcement, at the highest level of spycraft, at the highest level of private sector PI, is now proven to have been making false statements for 15 years in reference to what could have possibly happened in Indianapolis and what did happen. 100%. Your altimeters are going to start. God's going to remove all your power of it. And really, it's anti power. Thank you, sir. I agree. So again, it's not Shangri-La moving to Altoona, but it probably sure beats this bullshit you got going on here. At least it's got some decent weather. Not perfect, but it's drier and a little cooler. Now the winters are probably a little harsher, but I really don't care. This humid bullshit's got to go. It's weird because if you go to Pittsburgh, it's humid. Go to Altoona, it's drier. Elevation. Go to Wheeling, West Virginia, it's humid. Go to Morgantown, it's drier. Probably, I think, as far as I can look back, as far as I went on that walkabout kind of thing, I was in West Virginia and I was in, Pennsylvania, certain areas like that, like Altoona, but not necessarily Altoona. But I think Hashem was trying to get me to go to those places. I just, what is they install people like Gary Shovlin in these marshal positions, and then they have way to destroy you, right? Now, Gary was appointed because he's right. We agree. Right. There's so much that there's so much corruption. Part of it was that I was helping my neighbor with the American Legion. I eventually, pulled out of it, but they were probably the locals were probably pretty pissed off. A neighbor asked me to do it. I did it. I did like one rotation of sending out membership cards as an adjutant, but I do ever again. I went because there's no protection in them. They get to do it. In other words, they're probably doing something corrupt with the money. Right. I think they were hunting for corruption. I think they did find actually something. Right. And nobody's pressing charges or anything. Right. Well, there's irregularities in the finances, which you find in a lot of American legions. Right. Mhm. So I'm sure that was part of that thing. Right. Trying to figure out what in Pennsylvania I saw that may have did this. And I guess the one bar there was that. I wasn't there much longer, but I saw them dealing dope again. But again, the cops were probably dirty with with them. You know what I mean? Right. That's what empowers all of that. Is that the cops are also. Mhm. So I've scheduled a trailer, a small one, so I could, I have my trailer hitch. I have the little pin. Right. Come shortly here. I'll be hooking on the trailer, getting all that stuff out of my apartment that I don't want. Sofa, 3 kitchen carts, probably. I think the TV stand and television will stay because I'd like to actually see if I could, if we could wheel that up just like that, mounted and everything, and pat it, and keep it on there for the ride. I don't know, man. I should probably better take the television off, put it in the original box. I could see the travesty there. Yeah, it'll take no. Once I take the television off, I could just you probably lift it into the van. Yeah, I had to replace the wheels on there. They had that cheap plastic wheels, so I bought the casters. I bought new casters. Just a little difficult trying to figure out what size to purchase as far as threading. Once I did, it's absolutely perfect. It didn't really roll. It just kind of, like they're more like gliders than wheels. My BP went up a little bit, so I got to get out here and walk a little bit more. I think I can't do it. I couldn't get it forward in the apartment anymore. Again, they're They're just going around. They can hear through your phones. They know if you're on your treadmill in your apartment. They know everything. They're sickos. They start cursing that. They just keep. I guess they knew I was walking anyway because I'm online. Well, here's the key. Get offline and we'll let you be. Then I get offline. They go, oh, see, we let him be. You don't hear from him, right? Nothing but a bunch of criminals, man. Who'd have thought Serpico was real? I mean, that real, you know? They, they don't care if you're. They don't. They don't let you not be corrupt. That's the point. You show enough over 10 years that you're not corrupt and not interested in corruption, even though you're not running to eternal or anything, they still kill you out. They hate you for it. They hate that you're not. Boy, it's humid as anything here. I just can't wait. I just couldn't find a place. I couldn't. I would have been there sooner if I could have thought about it. I mean, it's kind of, like I said, it's not going to be Shrangri-La, but it's not going to be like this in the summer. It's already 10 degrees colder, or actually about 5 degrees colder. It's a lot colder too. It's like I think it's like 10. That's the key is having an ice cool, and that's what you get in the mountains. I knew I didn't want to go back out west. So what they're doing is they're putting in my feed. I'm seeing all this, and it's increasing. All this 9 years ago memory, trying to get me to go back to Santa Fe. If I was younger, I might even have tried it, but I'm not interested in going back at this age. You take your transnational narcotics cities and keep them. I mean, it's all the way from the top down to the bottom. I mean, who do you think buys these big houses anymore? Right. Great. Now, Huntsville, that's where I was going to move to. I was going to buy a house there. So that's not bad for any other place in Alabama. Alabama, I'd say, well, what are you doing? Because there is no other place in Alabama that makes any sense. Well, it's a big aerospace industry there, so right. And it's a nice place to live. I thought it was. I mean, it's a little bit warm and humid, probably, but right. When you're younger, not 100% wrong. No, no issue with that. But Huntsville's probably the best city in Alabama. Yeah, it's going to be some people might not be able to make it there, though. Because Colorado is a lot better for people who have allergies and stuff like that. They may not want to live there. It doesn't get real hot. Was in Colorado Springs or something? Colorado Springs is actually pretty nice when it comes to weather, right? A little rainy, but generally cooler. It was so nice this morning. It just shows you once it hits that dew point, a big turd drops on the city. Like you're sitting in a toilet. Right. Nice this morning. It's cooler. So the dew point over in Altoona, Pennsylvania is lower, but it's off temperature's also lower. So but even the chance of hitting that dew point, for most of the day is a lot lower. I think it's going to get cold real quick, but that's okay. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, if they don't have a Costco, they don't have a Planet Fitness. And I look and it says Planet Fitness. All right, let me fix this here. My furry just fell off the mic. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Like, I don't tell you everything, and I'm getting information from agents and officers. Apparently, one of the things they said was because I stopped looking, at the algorithms, the porn, and all that. And they said, well, we healed him, so it was valid. It was valid, no matter what he said. It's valid what we did. And he said, look, you're going to have to look at that again. You know, because it's bullshit. Right. Had nothing to do with it. It did and it didn't. Right. But again, I reported some stuff earlier. Look like too close to rape to actually be legal. I don't know what X will do with that. X doesn't necessarily. Well, I got. They wanted me like full gay. I sensed it, so I went to the full gay thing. But then it led me to some hetero stuff. Like the full gay stuff ended real quick. Led me to hetero stuff, and then how did I get to that? I don't even remember. But it was a keyword or something. It took me to that, and then it was two men. I don't know if they're Latino. It looked like it was Latino people. Right? It could have been someone else, but it looked like one of those scenarios where it's a real rape. You know, where they do the slavery thing. Right. So I turned that into X. Right. There was somebody off camera directing to me, or at least partially high. She looked like she was drugged up. I didn't understand what she was saying. It wasn't too easy to understand. She's drugged up, involved oral sex. So again, couldn't say much, you know. What she did say, I didn't quite understand. It just seemed like she's not a willing participant. Right. Thank you, Larry. It could be cartel. Thanks, Larry. But again, they could be a I think it's uh, something. No, whatever they project, I try to at least, not maybe not right away, just to see what they do with it. Right. Well, right. They just willed it. If I waited long enough, maybe, but I wasn't interested in staying much longer. So I just went through a series of things that led to something, and that was obviously illegal porn. It used to not be illegal, that porn. And I told him, I said, look, quit trying to like get rid of everything. Get rid of the things you know you can get rid of. Don't waste your time and the effort on things that we won't necessarily prevail on. It's just a waste of time. Right. And I think they finally took that after so many years. Thank you, Mary. And I told them, you need to just do the content blocker, then we don't have to worry about it. But again, the deep state doesn't want the content blocker because then they can't set people up. That's the whole scam. That's the only reason there's stuff that gets into the United States is because if it's illegal, it can be blocked. It's not freedom of speech to see something illegal or freedom of viewing or whatever they say. Right. They won't block it because, like I tell you, the algorithms are setting people up and sending them into illegal pornography and things such as that. Even like bomb making information should not be available. It's illegal to have them, almost positive. Right. I mean, they can't arrest you, but you're going to be investigated. There's no reason for it to be there. Right. So if there's something online how you doing? If there's something online that'll get you arrested, the government should be blocking it from you. You don't have a right to bring that on yourselves. Right. And that one might be a little difficult, but still doesn't make any sense. I mean, if we had a Senate in the House, here's the reason you don't do what Trump did, because he's going to run. He's running into walls now. There's no bipartisan help. I don't know if we could have got there because of the deportations, but who knows? Yeah, I knew my BP would be. I gained like probably 15 pounds. I'm pretty heavy, but I'll get it down. I'm heading south on the way. But the humidity, I think that's what probably part of what did it. But they're willing me down too. Right. But you notice I haven't stopped doing the prayers. Today it was pretty difficult to get the prayers out. They were blocking pretty hard. Right. They're getting frustrated because I'm moving and they want me to do the prayers when I move. I found a nice place to stay, like quick in and out. Doesn't have a kitchen or anything, but I have, you buy a microwave, right? $35 microwave, you can eat with that. Right. Just a bunch of noodle packets, right? Find some sort of protein to put in it. You don't have to refrigerate. Well, I guess I could augment with protein drinks. Right. Thank you, Mary. Oh, you're in here. That's pretty good. I'll turn around. Projection exists, man. Metaphysics, a lot, will say the people that are around you the most can project into your mind the most. In religion, it's in everything. Well, the thing to Estina, Estelina, whatever it is, Swaziland. The thing in Swaziland is a big debacle. Can't believe it. And now they're asking for money. I mean, I don't even know if it was a good deal. I don't know what you paid them. Well, apparently there was no public notice. I think this is what happened. There was no public notice. And when there was public notice, they said they don't want people that have been arrested before in their community, like, like they live in Beverly Hills. I mean, honestly, that guy probably, I don't know, he was a drug addict, is what it was, I think, and that's why he committed the murder. Right. Well, the weird part is Jamaica says they never asked us to take him back, which doesn't make any sense. Right. Well, because any of those cases could be the new Abrego Garcia. That's why you just treat each one with respect and dispose of it in a way that's not going to fall back. Right. Again, you do have a lot of deterrence there, but then again, what does it become once they become Abrego Garcia number 55? Right? Is it actually any deterrence? Thanks, Larry. Well, it's kind of strange in Altoona. It's not too many apartments. Everybody owns a house or rents a house, right? For the price of an apartment. Right. Got some crime there, but yeah, I don't think you're going to beat it in this day and age. Probably, narcotics induced. Well, again, I didn't look, but you start looking at who was killed, and you find out they're at a bar. They hang out at the bar every day, or once a week, or twice a week, and right. Thank you. That's kind of Pennsylvania. Hang at the bar. At least I'm going back to something I know. You people are just too far gone devils. There they just hang out at the bar. They don't try to kill people for organized crime and racketeering. Via church inquisition. Big research. Thank you, Larry. They sold this house over here. Not bad location. If you like using the trail, it's a real nice location. Melanie Johnson, Reese Nichols, you're criminals. You're criminals and devils. Kansas fell. Steep state. Right. They call it conservative. They had the huevos to call it conservative. Like that's conservative? Oh, yeah, right. What do I expect you? At this point, go to hell. I don't. God put you in hell for that. All of you. You made choices in your lives that are in the scriptures unforgivable. People that are sinning are forgivable. People that are doing this or doing that are forgivable. But if you're like a power person that has exchanged your power for anti-power, it's unforgivable. And you could be a church member and be that too. Right. If you do something wrong in the church to another person. Right. The forgiveness extends to actually the people you all condemn as unforgivable. Right. But look more. Don't we look like angels of light and ministers of righteousness? I mean, don't they get it? Right. The people that are not forgiven, I mean, that are forgiven are just everyday people. It's in the scriptures. If they can't get out of their own way, then they can't get out of their own way. Why would God punish somebody who can't get out of their own way? And then exalt you because you caused them not to be able to get out. Right. But we're going to the celestial realm. We have to maintain a visual, make sure nobody dirty gets in. Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb? They all sound like Pink Floyd. Right. The LDS Church has become just another brick in the wall of hell. They probably haven't lost their racism, even though they have black people. There's this thing about African black people that white people that need token people in their society, they use Africans. Again, I didn't want to think about any of that, but you all opened that door. But I felt kind of bad going to LDS church like a sellout because you know because I knew before that they were racist. Like there's a dark skinned person in their scripture, and it's or supposedly dark skinned, supposedly the black people, and the black people are cursed to a bad life because they're these evil people. So again, I'm sure they think that the inner city black person, not all of them, but the ones that are into it are in a life of plight because why? Because they're black and they're this cursed nation of people from the Book of Mormon. Right? But I find that they are the man that keep the brother down. Correct. And that's a metaphysical thing, as we learned in the New Testament and the Old Testament. I'm sure they're racist. I'm sure they didn't like me because I wasn't. Right. Got no idea how many people they killed, but they killed people. Right. That's pretty good. It's 30 something minutes. So for all we know, that's what attacked law enforcement in part. Right. Killed all those agents. Well, Eswatini is working it out, but I think the U.S. government should work it out with them and get it done. Get those people put somewhere, right, before they sue. Oh, you're not allowed to deport people into a third nation prison. Right. Now, if there's charges in that country and you deport them there, that's something else. That's an extradition. Agree, Larry. Boy, this ragweed is rough. Oh. Sure, be nice to get out there. I'll tell you what, if I didn't have to wait on my license plate, I would surely probably leave sooner. I really don't want to be here much longer, but I can't. I've got so many things that are coming at the end. Right? As I got my last corticosteroid trigger point here. We got to look for money laundering in churches now. You also have you also have to look for sexual servitude, unfortunately. I mean, that one is overt, but the less overt. What are all these South American honeys doing around the LDS Church in reality? Right. Well, it's up. Yeah, I think I might try to ride my bike. I got on it the other day. I felt great. I'm like, why am I not on my bike? Like in my mind, I needed a different bike and I couldn't afford it. I guess because I've healed a little bit since then. These cicadas around here suck. I can't get colds fast enough. You'll be gone. You'll be gone in like 2 weeks. Curse you and your incessant noise. You know, my neighbor. It's funny because Hashem had her say something, but I had no clue if they were loud or something was screwed up with my hearing or my hearing aid or something like that. So I had no clue. So I'm talking to her, and somehow we very quickly got on the discussion of cicadas. And she goes, and boy, are they loud. Yeah, I was going to go to Colorado Springs. Probably should have done it. It crashed me here in Kansas. You just get tired moving all the time, you know. I even found some like custom apartment. I don't know, it was part of some building. I can't remember how it was, but it was a nice apartment. I just couldn't make that move. I couldn't find the energy to do it. I think as I bought the bike and I was kind of liking the rail, not rail trail, but the trails here and stuff. But again, no, if you're Christians and you're thinking about shooting people, you're in the wrong mind. You can be Jewish and think about it a little bit, but you can't be quote unquote Christian. And it's a sect that you get, right? And anyway, there's like a lot of Christians it's goyimized into ignorance. They don't even have the wisdom of the Jews. Right? It's just, they have this bullshit in their the superiority complex, bullshit. And again, there's people that are Jews that are like that, but there are Jews that are real. Right? Well, there's metaphysics. If you're thinking about shooting somebody, you're not controlled. I know you're not controlled. Most people think about shooting people all day. Again, I did it in the government when I had the job because it's like, hey, if you jumped out from there, what would I do? If I knock on this door and this happens, what would I do? Right. That's not what I'm talking about. Right. Well, because I know you're projecting it and requiring it. Right. It can be healed away, all of it. Agreed, Gary. So I called the people that had the $2,000 bill, and I said, "Don't look at me." And she said, "You don't have a case number or person you spoke to?" I said, "Nobody gave me a case number to it. Gave me a case number. So now, I guess. Last time I sort of misbilling where had a wrong, didn't put the right codes in or something, codes. Right. That's a deep state thing. They do that shit all the time because they want to have a negative. They want their victim to have a negative experience with medical treatment, so they don't. They'll avoid the hassle. Right. Just like they don't want me to go to church. That's no problem. You church and go to hell on your own. Right. Not dangerous. It's the way Jesus would speak. It's the way John the Baptist would speak. Of course, Jesus' name is Yeshua ben David. John the Baptist's name is Yochanan, the mikvah man. Right. Yeah, it's pretty good. I didn't think of it. I was just going to try to do a half hour, but looks like I'll be out here a long time, like at least 45 minutes, if not longer. This is dropping weight right off me. And then when I get to, it'll be real nice weather when I get to Altoona or someplace like that. I thought the cold here was triggering my issue, and it wasn't. It was just something completely different, right? And part of it is the stress that they put into you, right? I could have been drugged real easy. I had the perfect modality and some plans, and they destroyed it. Why do we just push your devil? An anti God, and organized crime members, and extortion, and racketeering experts. It's only a racketeering expert that can run what they're running, and that's because they studied it their whole life as law enforcement. And they created their racketeering entities. So I need to get to my storage unit and get that all ready, get the van cleaned out. It'll be a little expensive for the move. I'm sure it's going to be quite a bit of money, but maybe I'll see if I can find a coupon, drop it down a little bit. See if I can get that extra bit to Altoona free. Be the same price, similar price to get into Cincinnati. I was asking God, I'm like, God, it's humid there. The name is Cincinnati. That's double sin, guy. No, I'm not there with the deep state on that. I'm not saying you're anywhere in any other city, but when I was younger, I'd move into Cincinnati and laugh about it. But I don't understand the deep state. Racketeering entities are coming up on wire all up and down the eastern seaboard. Right. Like everything that I'm speaking about. I don't know who projected that, but somebody does that. Oh, that thing? Yeah, it looked like something was going on. I don't know. God, it's like humid as anything. It's like not that warm, but it's like you're in a pool building. It's like you're walking in a pool building. I wish I could leave sooner. That license plate screwed me. I just could have got. I didn't think about that. I didn't have to get that. I have the temporary plate. That's good till like November. I'll just get him to hold my mail. I'm planning to get like if I go to Altoona, I'm planning to get a PA license like immediately, so I can go get my box, a post office box. So what I got to do is I got to look for how you do your appointments now and see if I can schedule an appointment. See, that's what's supposed to happen, not the bullshit you all are causing, right? Well, they're telling me that I could pipe, as long as these people don't buy everybody out before I get there. Right. Uh, that there's that I could find a 3-month lease. It would be expensive, like 1,500 a month, but you move once, you get in there, and you just stay there, and you have an apartment for 3 months, and then you figure it out. Right. You don't have to get a storage unit. It's probably the people that are renting a 3-bedroom apartment. No, I know I can find I didn't even get their monthly price. I know there's a place there it looks like a Motel 6, but it has a different name. It has the Motel 6 refurbishment, but it doesn't have they might have rooms with it, but the photos didn't show rooms with the refrigerators. So that's the only difference. No refrigerator, I think maybe a microwave. or no make-believe. I can't remember. Well, nobody answers the phone, so I'm sure it's pretty seedy. But it's just when they have that hard floor, it's not like living in something with a carpet. But yeah, I wish I'd gotten married. I wish I'd been healthier, and I just would have been happy the whole time. Right? They knew it. They knew I woke up, so being married would work. Right? Yeah, they took down my marriage all the time. I didn't know what was going on. Right? And then when I left, they scumbagged in. And they didn't think my wife would say, I spoke with Rick Henry. She actually told me that. I'm like, what? Somebody else told me what Shelton did, right? Some of the other deputies. But no, it is a big deal, though, because it's still going on. The statute of limitations has not begun to run on what you all started in at least the 90s. No, people don't find me. You put them in, and the others put them in. Right. It's a big scam of the deep state. Oh, I just noticed that this guy said that something seemed off, I'll tell you what's off. All the bullshit you peddle in the churches when you're actually just another mob, just another mafia, right? If being a mafia brings people closer to Christ, then so be it, more. But it doesn't, okay? Agreed, Larry. But when I get all this stuff, start moving this stuff out of my apartment, then the whole cleaning mode kicks in, right? Because a lot of space to clean. Don't have to move everything around while I'm cleaning. Now, for the price I'm paying here, I don't know what utilities are out there for a house like that, but for what I'm paying here for my apartment and my garage, I could have a 2-bedroom house, a 3-bedroom house. And it's all over a house. They keep them up nice. It looks like the only thing is weather has mold. That's the problem. Right? You get like a 2-bedroom apartment for like $1,000. Now they're gonna probably go out there and try to raise everything. That's what they did to me here. Right? Just to show me they're raising it, they'll raise the ones I'm looking at first. Right? Either now they're Republican or Democrat. Right? There's all the golfers. Guess they're not out here with all that humidity. Right? 0 golfers. Maybe they don't have the money to go golfing. So again, this is what I wanted to speak about, and I finally got to it. So the whole thing where you can't do the tariffs may actually be a godsend. I don't know the truth. It just doesn't seem like what Trump's saying is going to happen, and his people are saying is going to happen, has anything to do with what's actually going to happen. Right. So maybe you got some quick money and cut that thing off and let the prices go back down. Right. And you know what may have done it? Because if you have to do stimulus checks. But if you desire to do stimulus checks, the deep state devils will block it just intuitively. It'll just automatically block because they're trying to kill people and they don't want you to give them 2,000. Killing includes killing finances. So they don't want you to like if I were to move and you gave us a $2,000 fine, check, it would bail me out of all that expense. I was trying to find a credit card this morning, maybe to get a couple $100 off or to help with the move. And you get like a bonus. Right. Oh yeah, I called the Jews out there. I guess they'll probably contact the deep state will contact the Jews. This man's very dangerous. He knows things about us. I mean. Oh, he's done that for years. When the deep state tells you that somebody's very dangerous, and that's not a political party, it's both parties. When they tell you somebody's dangerous, they're actually saying that person has information about us, specific information. Right. But it is in political parties. Right. That's how actually some cops see it that way. Like when you say he's dangerous, they're like, just like, we're just here to check him out. Like murder. Right. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, I've been trying to get out here and walk. Thank God that I could. Oh, almost an hour. How beautiful. How beautiful. Hashem. And I touch base with the Jews because I don't know if I'm going to go to their synagogue. It's probably a synagogue. Cincinnati and synagogue. It's actually marked. That's why people like try to call it the temple. They see it. They go, "Oh, you mean the temple?" Or the shul, they'll use the Jewish word. Would you ever notice how close shul is to Sheol? You ever notice that? Okay. That is that. How you doing? Yeah, you too. Seems like to be a nice person. I don't know. She smiles at me sometimes, and I don't know if it's a setup or real, but again, well, some women they just want to get with a guy, and when they come along, it's kind of something they're looking at. But she could be a deep stater, just trying to. Because I actually saw her and her son in front of my door on the camera. I never see anybody. I don't really look at it. I was like, so I don't know. She didn't seem overly welcoming there. So it's not anything more than a hide of lie, but she could be deep stater, kind of willing to thing. That's how they did it to me before. Right. I was going to the Philippines, but I was much younger and had a lot less experience with the deep state. Right. Naples, Naples had plague after plague after. They still have plague. They still can't use their water. No, blame me. Blame Huxley. But blame what you did to me. Right. If you didn't kill me, I stayed in Naples and had a great life. I probably could have told you how to defeat the algae and the bacteria. I've already told people how to defeat the weather thing, and they're going to try it someday. The sun, I say, you got to block the sun. You got to make a haze up there. Right. Something that's healthy, but a haze. See? You can actually make a haze that kills, fluorocarbon or whatever is up there, and then right. So you can actually defeat several things with one project. And I don't know. It could be a jacuzzi effect where the Earth itself is heating up. Nobody's on it. They just go in the direction where you get $1 billion for $1 billion contract. Right. Well, you're going to have higher gas particles when it gets hotter, just by the nature of it getting hotter. It doesn't have to do with anything. You can actually tighten the standard, and it could actually increase as the temperature increases. I call it the jacuzzi effect. Like here, where rainforest, you have dinosaurs here. That's one thing. You love rainforests, right? Did you all? Oh, you didn't do it, did you? They will rainforests. I guarantee it. Now, again, a lot of times it's not Hashem punishing you; you lose Hashem's protection. Oh. Everybody loved, what's that? Fern Gully. Oh, rainforest is so beautiful. I wish we could have one of these in Ohio. And they project it. Like a millionaire, like Bezos, I guess. I thought it was Bezos. Somebody think it's Bezos, or maybe they said it wrong. Bezos goes to rainforest. I wish the whole earth was rainforest. It could be. I think God's teaching you, but you should learn that lesson not to project your own will and distort what God could do for you. But people have willed rainforest. That's part of it. So now all the climate is beginning to move into rainforest. Just a matter of time. Will it be dry? It may not be. It may go rainforest. It'll probably be arid and rainforest. It'll be like one or the other. Right. Well, because we have the what do they call that thing? The river, the river in the sky. I forget what they call that. Right. River storms. So it's not going to totally go dry everywhere unless those things disappear. But they look like they're increasing. Right? And it is humid as all get out here. I know it was humid in this location, but there's no way the last 2 years were this humid because I'd have been out of here before I rented this apartment. Correct. And again, what it comes down to is the dew point, mugginess, and all that. But that was amazing. 58 minutes. Praise God. I wasn't absolutely comfortable walking, but I've been worse. And then Hashem showed me how to go light. I have this new wireless mic system. Oh, I recorded. I didn't want to waste battery. But I can even record it. I don't even need the bass part to broadcast. No, I feel way better. I'll have to get a massage when I get to it. Wasn't going to walk today because of my shots, but he's a good guy. It's just such a shame I couldn't find. In reality, I could have left Naples and found him. And back then, it'd been easier to move in here. A lot of the damage was done in Santa Fe. Right. 4%. Yeah, I could have moved to like Olathe or some shit. Actually, I'd have probably been in Missouri. So I don't know if I'd have found him or not. But maybe I'd have found somebody just as competent. I have not found anybody competent like that. Now, he did get a communication breakdown, but that's something else. The deep state's cursing me, so the communication breakdown, I didn't know he didn't use steroid on that first go round. If he did, it'd be great. Right. No, it wasn't like tight like it was. I'm not like back to that, and I'm barely using stuff to spray on it. And right, and I'm not going to massage in probably like 2 months, or just about. Actually, 2 months, right? But I still needed it because I was tight. It needs to break down. I might need it on my calves, but I found that the arnica available at Walgreens, the spray, loosened my leg. It's kind of weird. It hasn't been that loose like that in a while. My calf. Again, if you all stop, if the intuition picks up, and then my life fixes. But again, you didn't want to stop, so now you're all going down. I don't think there's any court in the world with the Trump administration in office that's going to say that that law needs to be thrown out with the kids. It is too broad. It definitely is. It just every kid gets that advantage now, right? There has to be some way to manage it. But what I think they'll let you do is adjust it. But you have to give them your plan. Like say, okay, if you don't want us to do it that way, we'll do it this way. You can try to argue it first, but always have. And again, you have to tell your attorney they can do this. You're all nuts. Look what you fired that one attorney, and you're still going, Abrego Garcia. Everybody's still saying his name, Abrego Garcia. I mean, he, there's the DHS hearing. What's she going to talk about today? Abrego Garcia. Oh, there's Don Homan. Abrego Garcia. There's Trump. Abrego Garcia. That's why that attorney knew what to do. Right. Bush. So what you have to do is you come up with a tiered system. Well, this is what good attorneys do anyway. They just naturally have a tiered system. The judge didn't buy into it. Well, let's give him something else. Judge, in lieu of that, obviously the court is not willing to accept that. No, you didn't have the information you had now. He was illegally deported to El Salvador. There was an order that said, just face it, it happens. Your government. Right. See, that's why you need people like that attorney in government. Oh, Your Honor, we profusely apologize. We put ourselves on the mercy of the court. Look, Oaks is in there. No, they know inside, I'm sure. But in their head, I might be like, who knows what I am, what religion, what place, Maybe even think I'm in their own church, in their church, right? Now, Satan's very deceptive. What are you think about today? Abrego Garcia. And that attorney's sitting back. And of course, he's probably already got another job, right? Making more money. He's sitting back going, well, because that's why I was valuable to the Mars Service. They made a mistake with me too. Also, I mean, they didn't fire me, but I left. Right? And then they tried to take the retirement because they were, the plan was to deep state me, right, and hopefully fire me one day, but it didn't work for them, right? I think they got greedy because they had pushed so many people to suicide and other things. They were trying that in my life and didn't want to because if I leave, then they don't have as much access. They used to not. Now they're totally everywhere. I mean, my neighbors were paid off and everything. Right. Well, that's what I'm telling you. You tell your attorney, and again, they might be afraid to even do it because you read it a different way. And Trump goes, "Well, why did you say that?" Because we told them to say that. It's the plan we came up with. So the initial plan, he explains to Trump, say you have to develop a tiered plan that the court doesn't accept the first thing, you have a second thing to bring to the court, and then a third thing, right? Because I don't think so. The first one would be the way it is. The third one would be the system you're using for the adults, right? Which they're protected. Plus, again, right? If you can't just deport them, you get again. The middle one will be you get to deport them to the government will take care of them. The government has to if you're going to if you're going to tell the court to deport a child, you're going to have to show a plan of how that child's going to be taken care of, through till they're 18. You can't just deport a child and the court's going to say okay, right? That's generally what you have to do. The bottom tier would be just like an adult type system. So the main one is the way you're doing it now with an explanation of how you got there that makes sense to the court or could make sense to the court. You have to give them your reasoning. Right? Then, and your reasoning behind how the children are going to be okay. Now, there's a problem because in Swaziland, whatever they call it place, they made a representation and they didn't follow through. I agree. So that could come up. So, but I believe Guatemala wasn't going to like do anything bad to these children. I believe the government of Guatemala. I know I saw the guy when he went office before Trump. That's the guy I think it is. I think he's a good guy. He's not going to like say let's douche these kids from because they angered Mr. Trump. Right. He's not the president of El Salvador. I don't know if he would either. Right. So the idea is they had a plan to take care of the children. Then the second one be you would be more involved in that plan, which means you would appoint teams of people to the embassy, which includes the embassy in Guatemala, are responsible for whatever plan. Like you don't deport a kid until there's a plan developed. The U.S. whatever the team is in the U.S. looks at that plan, approves of that plan, sends it to the embassy in Guatemala. I guess they could do an approval on that also, right? And then they implement the government has to implement the plan. But now you have people in country and people here that and then you create whatever the dates are. No, Trump, I can't work for you. Go away, because your body won't hire me. So then, what you do is you put like checks and balances. So you have dates, like you have a 30-day check. You can do it at monthly. You do 30, 60, 90. Then, I don't know if maybe you want to go to 180. Again, case by case basis. You have the embassy in Guatemala look at the case, where the kids are, and make sure the plan's being followed. So the government has a responsibility to follow that plan with whatever entity that they're going to place them with. The last level would be if you wanted to go to the lead. Actually, no, that would be the last. The first level would be. Maybe I'm thinking of like four systems or something. But I think that's the best system anyway. Because the law does give them protection. But I think the protection is too vague. But there's no court that's going to remove that protection at this point. Right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So again, this is what you want anyway. I mean, it's humanitarian, and at the same time, you get what you want. See, that's what that attorney was trying to do. Placate the judge, bring something on that's amicable to everybody involved. We agree, sir. We agree there. And I waved at the woman, and she just smiled. What's that? What does that mean? Except I'm not rude like that. You might know some. Right. So your response should be a tiered system, but I don't know if you want to go with the tiered system. I would really go with the system I just designed, right, because it has checks and balances in it, and you won't get shit on your face. And then whatever the kid's name is, uh, you'll be sitting there for 100 days saying Francisco Diaz, Francisco Diaz. No, when I was in government, this is I could take care of problems like that and get it buried and amicable, right? No, Shelton would go into the judge's office and go, "What do you want for what are you doing for dinner?" Oh, the chief asked a question. He wants to know if we can. It's so funny. Man. No, I actually treated women in Martha Service better than they treated me. Right. One treated me good. Actually, it might be two. The Christian, unless she was doing something on her hands. The Christian girl with the red head, the doll touched her derriere and had to leave because of that woman. She was nice. And then the other one was with Second Spectre. I think she was like based out of Colorado. She's a nice person. One was married, one was. Thank you, man. No, see, I'm not the one that puts my hand on somebody's ass. They're the ones that do it. Actually, I like Mickey Doll. He was a great boss when I worked for him. I think in New Orleans for a little while. That's when I think I met Will in New Orleans when I was like a rookie. Right, my first assignment or something like that. And of course, he went to the French Quarter last night. I'm still hung over for the plane ride home. Well, the deputies, the deputy U.S. marshals that go on detail, they run into each other, throughout the career because not everybody does them. I don't know what it is now, but a lot of people don't want to do it. Right? And at the end, I was divorcing. I went on everything and anything. During 9/11, I had back-to-back assignments. I guess two, and then there was another one like months away from that one. Well, actually, no, the first one, right. I had three assignments. The first one was just a standard assignment, but I think it was overtime. I can't remember. It was at the airports. That first thing with the deputies had to go in the airports with customs and FBI and interview people. Right. Then, then I went to what is that, near the Pentagon? What's up? Alexandria, I guess it's called. Right. For full security on certain posts there. And then I went to, I think, a judge's detail in New York. But it was almost like back to back. Because once everybody worked the airport stuff, they got like overtime and nobody wanted to, go on detail anymore. Right. And they were all like at that point, you know, senior GS-12s and stuff, starting to really get up there in the steps. Right. But like Will had all those things that he was into. I don't even know how his life probably turned up. But I know he ended up getting divorced. He had like an emu farm and something else. But he's always having something go wrong. Right. But he made it, I guess. It was weird. He goes, "This is my girlfriend." And again, I mean, people are into all different, but he's like my height, and it's like 5'7", and she's like 5'11" or something. Just like, "It's my girlfriend." Oh, but Deep State was so thick at that point. I'm like, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I didn't say it though. At two, Will, at two. The Emu Farm's going belly up. I need money. No, there's no way he should ever do this in my life. They may be physically sick. Mm. They know the scam. As soon as I meet people, and they will help me get where I need to get. I get by with a little help from my friend. Right. Thanks, Larry. The only people they're willing to let me meet were the cruisers at the local park. That's real. That's really what they're doing. 100%, no doubt. Well, it's even gonna be hotter tomorrow, and Thursday's gonna be like today. But I don't think I'm gonna get up any earlier than scheduled. Best bet would be to start early in the morning. I guess I want everybody to get off to work anyway. I could have them change it. I guess a half hour early. Boy, excuse me. It's so muggy. I mean, right? I paid him to have somebody clean it, but I still, I got to clean it a little bit. Right. That's nice that they had that. I even pay a little more if they wanted more. I pay another $50, like 150. I paid 200. Well, it's just that way there's no question. But so it is what it is. Trying to cool down out here. These cicadas are crazy. Where are your heads are, cicadas? That's who I think's in the head of the deep state and stuff, like insects that want to kill us. Right. Every choice they make will lead to the end of an extinction of mankind. Right. I imagine my Amazon won't be as well, but I mean, I'm not still that far. Right. It won't be like here overnight and stuff. But Harrisburg's not that far, and Pittsburgh's not that far. That's a thing I'm willing to kind of put to the side if it works out. Stay